Okay, let's get started. Welcome everyone, welcome my friends to the channel. Welcome to AfterCut, a series about post-processing and processing post, where we kind of take a look at the post-production process for films and for photography, and we kind of talk about the decisions that get made, the process of creating something once we're off set or off location, and we're gonna turn it into its final product. So, welcome. My name is Eric. I am a writer, director, cinematographer, photographer, editor, fight choreographer. I have been working in the film and photography industry for the past 15 years. And so what I'm bringing to you today is my own artistic process in the creation of a project. In this case, we're looking at a film. So the reason I do this is a couple different reasons. One of them is because post-processing and post-production are hugely important aspects of both film and photography and are very rarely talked about. They're not aspects that get a lot of press. They're not aspects that get a lot of tutorials or get a lot of tutorial how to do different things gets tutorials, but the actual process I find doesn't get as much, and its post-production is not often looked at as a hugely important component of storytelling, which it absolutely is. So that's one reason I do it. The other reason I do it is kind of subsequent to that, is that because post-processing is such an important element of the storytelling process, but is so rarely, discussed, praised, doesn't really get the cred that it deserves. It is often a very undervalued part of the process, and so I do this type of stream in addition to because I want to share the process and want to talk about it, but also so that if you are an editor wondering about, or if you're an editor who is wondering, okay, am I charging too much? Am I not charging enough? What are my rates like? Is the amount of work I'm doing worth the amount that I should be getting paid for it? Or if you are a director, a producer, someone who wants to get into the film industry and tell stories, but doesn't really have an idea of the post-production side, this is a resource for you as well, to show you kind of what goes on in post, and to help you and everyone understand more the amount of work, the amount of decision making, the amount of incredible craft that goes into post-production, and so potentially understanding why an editor's rate might be higher than you might expect, because it's a ton of work. It really, really is. Editing is a hugely essential component to the process, and I'm a strong advocate that the entire film industry undervalues itself, at least the independent industry. It's that weird split between the Hollywood top of the line film industry that is just outrageous numbers in terms of budget, and then the more independent sphere where we're trying to get people to work for exposure, or for the promise of this thing going viral. And there's a huge gap in the middle, and we need to start filling that gap, because there's a lot of very, very, very talented people who are trying to bridge that gap in the middle. Anyway, so that's why I do this. That's the reason I'm coming to you today. Additionally, kind of, in addition to that, I want this to be, as much as I can, a platform, a resource, an educational piece for anyone who might have questions or have comments or want to know, or just wants to share their work. So if you are an editor, if you are a director, if you're anyone in the film industry, if you're not, if you're just curious, please feel free to ask questions, leave comments, tell me your third favorite Michael Bay movie, however you want to interact. I want this to be as much of a dialogue as it can be. And additionally, if you are an artist, if you are a creator, if you spend some part of your day creating, please share links to your work. Whether you're watching this now and can share in the live chat, or you're watching on YouTube and can share in the comments, please share your work. I want to see it. I want to promote it. I want to talk about not just my own process. But okay. Now I will now spend the next hour and a half talking about my own process. The irony is not lost on me, but I'm not going to change anything to stop it. Anyway, welcome. Today we are going to be back in Adobe Premiere. I'm going to go ahead and switch us over here. There we go. So we're back in Adobe Premiere. and we are working on the film Last Wave: The Curse of the Nicolas Cage Surfboard, which, understandable. You get it. In this case, we're doing a nightmare scene. Our main character, Boogie, here, because he's called Boogie because he's scared of the water. And in a town full of surfers, he's the one who doesn't paddle out. But our main character, Boogie, played by Joe Lacerda, and in this sequence, he's fallen asleep. He's waking up to a nightmare vision, premonition. The audience, we kind of know what it is. He doesn't. So today we're talking about the actual construction of that moment. That's what we're gonna be working on, and we're gonna go ahead and jump in. Last time, if you watched our first stream back here on Twitch, we did the more tedious process of let's watch the footage, let's go through it, let's pick out the clips that we like, let's start sort of assembling little basic details and playing with certain things. But for the most part, it was step 2 or 3 of basic editing, where you are collecting clips and choosing takes and kind of whittling down what was shot on set to what you think will be useful in post. So now that we've done that, we are going to, and I've done a little more in between streams, we are going to start actually putting it together. And so I've divided my footage into kind of 4 major sections. The first 2 are these shots over here that are kind of just the beginning of the sequence, kind of before the light back here comes on and the surfboard we're revealed that something's up. Then we've got the second sequence where it's the walk up to the surfboard and the reveal of what's actually, or the walk up to the surfboard up until it falls. Third sequence here is our reveal of what's actually inside. And then our fourth sequence is the wake up moment afterwards. And we're going to talk about, and then if I scroll this down, I've got, let me see this. Okay, that's coming through. Cool. If I scroll here, I've got all the raw footage from the remainder of that scene. Once we do the wake up and we realize it wasn't real, and we talk about where are we going next, which we're probably not going to get to today because that's kind of starting the process over. We're gonna have to watch clips and pick takes. But all right, we're 2 mic punches in. Let's keep track of that. I pulled it in here just to have it so we can get started with it, and because I'm going to be choosing a take. I have chosen a take that I think is good for the wake up moment. I want to be able to see what I'm ending on there so that I know what I can cut to here. So yeah. And now it means I've got all the footage for this scene in one place, so I can, when I come back in, I can just jump into this timeline and I can work on it. All right. So here's where we left off. I'm going to go ahead and save because it's Premiere and because I'm paranoid about that kind of thing. There we go. I have no idea if my neck cracks actually are picked up by the mic because they sound crazy loud in my head. Okay, let's continue here. So here's where we left off. Our first, and there's one other clip I wanted to grab. I don't know if I'm actually gonna use this, but I want to have it as B-roll. And I'm gonna take that. So it's a shot of the fire that we've been using as B-roll because the previous scene was a scene in front of the fire. So that makes it a good transition. We cut from end of the scene to fire to Boogie asleep with the. Sorry. Put that thing on vibrate. There we go. To Boogie asleep with the firelight sort of playing on his face there, very subtly. But once color grade happens, it'll be more obvious. But yeah, so kind of helping us transition. Are we asleep? Transition into the dream without realizing that's where we're at. Excuse me for a second. There we go. And then, as he,
Violet, are you there?
And there will be sound. There's going to be sound playing throughout this, so that because right now it's just silence and we don't know what he's reacting to. There will be sound that our re-recording mixer Eric Brown will be going through and giving us I'm sure amazingly creepy mix of amazingly creepy mix of sound effects and voices and stuff that we can use to wake him up and have like a little whispering going on. But anyway, so he wakes up, light comes on, something's going on over there. There'll be a music cue for that. The thing I want to do is I want to copy this change color effect that I use, because you'll notice this blue light on his face. That is the firelight. I turn the firelight blue when the blue light comes on, again to make it creepier, and to kind of add to the atmosphere, because the whole scene's about to go totally blue. If I do a paste here, all right, that shot's gonna take a little bit of tweaking because it wasn't designed for this. Let's adjust here. Okay. Well, that's actually pretty helpful. I'm gonna go with the corrected layer for now, though. Let's see. Basically, where's the softness? There we go. I want to go very soft on this. Honestly, that doesn't look bad. Like it looks wrong, but in a good way. No, those are all kind of the same. That's all right. Then set that to 0. Let's bring that down a little bit. Go back to what it was. 17 was fine. Saturation change. Yeah, push that up a little bit. Get some, and then the hue transform gets us the actual color. So now we have this shot of the blue fire, which I might have to tweak a little bit in post, but Shelby Lynn and Stephanie, hello. Tweak a little bit in post, but if I now I have this as an option if I want B-roll as I cut around. Okay. So, first shot here is the wake up. So, I'm going to let this play so we can kind of see what it looks like. And then we will start piecing together the continued events. So here we go, we're waking up. Noises, not sure what it is. Something's going on.
Violet?
1 second, I want to adjust that firelight a little bit. I want to bring it down. There we go. Also, you can, with the opacity mask kind of off, you can see the degree to which I am blurring this. I'm blurring this by a huge amount because it's not about the specifics, it's about just the flickering. Which I might adjust even more.
Right there.
Boom, turn. Okay, so it's on that turn. Cool. So, then I've got this shot, which is my kind of wide master. And I'm only going to use a tiny clip of this. I'm going to use it for a couple of reasons. One, I want to have a master. I want to have something that kind of sets the scene. Because, I'm going to save real quick, because this is like, this is one of those things where it's like when you reveal that it's a nightmare. And like, there's some audience members who will see somebody sleeping and immediately know this is going to be a nightmare scene. Like, there's also just looking at at Boogie's character and going to say, okay, this is, he's probably going to have a nightmare about this. But then there's the question is like, okay, how much of this I'm kind of leaning into this whole dream sequence thing kind of for the last couple of scenes because one of the later scenes hinges somewhat substantially on us not knowing whether, like, here, this is scene 10 of the movie. Scene 13 hinges fairly heavily on us not knowing if scene 8 was real or not. So if I from the start kind of lean into this movie has, if you know this is a nightmare from the start, it kind of makes it opens the door to let you wonder if everything could have been a nightmare, if there could be more, if the whole night could be a nightmare, because we kind of go from this scene where we've got some weirdness happening that is kind of done to look ambiguous, to this scene which is simple, but still, the same night. It's got a bit of an eerie quality because you got the fire going on. And then we go to this scene, which is explicitly a nightmare. When we get to scene 13, and the question is like, hey, wait a minute, how do you know which part of this was a dream, which part of it wasn't? I want the audience to actually be able to wonder about that. I want them to be able to say, oh, is this actually a dream? Like, was this whole thing a dream? Or, going all the way back to here? Or was it just this last part? So, with all that said, that is why I'm going to cut to a wide shot here for a second, because it establishes wide shots are, this is welcome to the real stream. Here we go. I just pontificate on nonsense, not nonsense, meaning of shots, cinematography. Wide shots tend to be comforting in a very subtle way. Wide shots, they give perspective. They give ideally a full view of what's going on. They tend to help us. They tend to help us kind of understand our surroundings better. There is I forget the name of it. There is a World War II film, I believe, set in a concentration camp from a couple years back. It was an independent film, ran on the festival circuit. Might have gotten a foreign film Oscar nomination. But one of the things it did, it was characters in a concentration camp, and there are no wide shots in the whole movie. The entire film is mediums and close-ups, and because of that like one decision, like in coupled with the the story that's being told, it's a good decision in addition to like not in isolation, but in as a visual way to convey the story. But because they did that, you never feel safe. You never feel like settled in. You never feel that like that you have the whole picture. And it's a simple thing that removing wide shots just kind of gives this oppressive atmosphere by itself, because you just never know what's outside the edge of frame. So that's the power of wide shots. I want to give the audience one here for two different reasons. One, like I just said, if I shoot this scene completely differently to everything else, it's going to be very clear that it's a nightmare. And secondly, because of what's going to come later, because of the way I'm going to end this. And end this little sequence. So, not end it, but like transition back to the real world. So the shot I want to use here is just lights on. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna get it kind of mid-turn. Cool. Go ahead and cut that. And if you watched last stream and saw all the work we went to in order to like to hide the light coming on too early, yeah, we do all that work, and then we take it and we get rid of it. In this case, I save it in a different timeline in case I need it. But, yep. Okay, so got a couple things to do here real quick. That works. I think that movement works. And then he's going to move, and I'm going to cut right when he moves. And we're going to put in some sound here. Music for sure. There we go. Body crosses right there. Right where I want to cut. Because I want to keep him moving. And this is a change in basic, like I'm slightly tweaking the blocking on set, because on set he crosses, he kind of gets to the end of the hallway squaring off with the surfboard and kind of stands there for a second before he moves. I want to keep him moving. So instead of letting him come across and stop and then start moving again in a different shot, I'm going to have him come across. I'm going to stop right before he stops moving, and then I'll start a next shot with him already moving, so that we get that continual movement, and we don't feel like we're waiting too much. We'll see if we need to later. Next thing we're gonna do, we got one more thing to do here. There we go. Well, first thing I'm gonna do is save, because it's Premiere. Oh, that's the wrong button. That's still, where's the save? There's the save button. Got a controller down here that just I'm going to the wrong side of it. All right, cool. So we've saved. Excellent. Now, the one thing missing here, and the one thing that I want to do is we need some fire. So I'm going to take my blue fire here. I'm going to take another copy of it. I'm going to lose the scaling. Yes, I do. I don't want this scaled. I want this to be wide. I want this at 54, which is as wide as I can get it. I'm going to take this. I'm going to extend it the length of the shot, just like that. Yay! I'm happy to hear the girls are a big fan of the layout. I'm a fan of it too. I think it makes the whole thing look better. So I'm glad they're fans of it. Okay, so we've got our fire here, and we're going to be adjusting that additionally. I'm going to take this. I want to go to, actually, you know what? I will do this. Instead of copying that way, I will go over here. So I'm going to take this. I'm just going to do a regular copy. Control C. And then I'm going to come here, and I'm going to do a paste attributes, which is, I've got a shortcut for it, I think. Yes, Control Alt V or Command Option V, depending on whether you're on Mac or PC. And what I'm going to do, basically what it does is instead of copying the clip, it copies the attributes. It copies and it's like same regular copy thing, and then you're just telling it, do you paste the clip or paste the attributes? And in this case, I want the opacity and I want the blur. So I hit OK. And now I have, I can see my other clip, and I just need to adjust. Okay. Let's take a look at this mask. That mask is not where I want it. Okay. I might be able to do this without the opacity mask. Let's take that off. I think I'm going to need the mask, but we'll get there. Okay. So opacity, no mask, overlay is that. All right. Change color is what change color should be, and the blur should be above that. There we go. Cool. Next I want to do is I'm going to scale this up because I want this fire just kind of covering the room. I'm going to bring it over here so it's hanging out on Boogie. If I let this play. Okay. It's there. It's a little bit. It needs some more subtlety. It needs a little work. So we're going to scale it up even more. I'm going to bring it kind of over here so it's covering. So it's hitting Boogie and also lightly touching on everything else. There we go. But it's still too strong of a presence, and that's fine. We're going to fix that. Let's see. I don't want to go there. I think I'm going to stick with overlay as a way to do that. And then let me save again because it's still Premiere. Let's see, do a quick notes. Cool. And then now we are going to do an opacity mask. So I'm going to set this to 10%. I can do this in 25. So it lets me zoom out and get a little space out here. I'm doing an opacity mask. I think this can be. Let's do a circle. Let's do a circle here. Whoa, that's way too big. There we go. Okay, so we can work with this. We're going to bring this oval in like that. Way too much. We're going to come back. We're doing a lot of feathering with this one. There we go. Bring it down. Move it down. Forgive my computer's processing power, and it's causing the stream to skip. Premiere's Premiere's not After Effects. It's a little hesitant when I tell it to work with masks. All right. There we go. All right, so we now have the firelight just on this side of frame. We're going to bring this up a little more. There we go. So the firelight, if I play it now, it's just on this side, which is fine, which is where I want it. But I also need to feather the hell out of this so that it feels like it's part of the thing. So something like that. Let's see how that looks. Still a little too strong. I wonder if I want to switch to something like screen. No, that's giving it too much power. Let's switch to one of the darker ones. Let's see. Multiply? Multiply is going to make everything darker. Nope, stream skipping because I'm telling my computer to do a lot more than it wants to at the moment. So I'm just clicking through some of my darker color effect. Darker color isn't doing anything. All right, come back down to overlay. And we're going to set our opacity to 70%, which I think will help. And the other thing we can do is we can come down here to change color, and we can adjust our hue. There we go. Get it into that darker blue. Nice. So Boogie's now completely surrounded by this. And if I was to turn this off, let me actually get this back to fit so you can see it a little better. Even though it's a very dark shot, and that's intentional. So yeah, you can get the silhouette of him going through there. If I turn it back on, yeah, there we go. Now he's coming around, and I want to take the opacity on this down even more. I want to bring this down to 25%. Let me see what that looks like. That's a little better, I think. Find a middle ground somewhere in here. This is a thing that I'm doing. I'm doing for now. Once I get into color grading, is going to be when I can put the final version in and really make this look good. But I think that's pretty decent for now. I'm pretty happy with that. Okay. So let's save that. All right. So he's coming across. Excellent. And now we can actually get into the cutting of how do we want to put this together. Again, got my shot on my blue fire here. If I end up using it, don't know if I'm going to. Just going to move that. I'm going to put it up here a little bit, and then I'm going to right-click and turn off Enable, so it's now, like, not going to be in the way, and I've got access to it if I need it. Save this. And let's bring in our second clip, our second set here. Which is us getting to the door, or getting to the getting up to the board. So here we go.
Violet.
There we go. That's a little bit of movement I want. And the thing about a scene like this that I was thinking about is that, like, when you shoot a nightmare scene, or when you shoot any kind of scene, it always, this is a thing that, like, I have always struggled with as a cinematographer. It's a thing that, like, it is so easy, and I know a lot of cinematographers that struggle with it. I know there's a lot of professional cinematographers and directors that struggle with this, where it is so easy to get caught up in the cool shots. Like, I mean, the fact, like, you know, this shot here where we got this cool close-up of him, you know, moving around in the lighting, and then we got this shot here where you've got, kind of can see everything, and then you've got, you know, some of these later shots where you've got, yeah, like, that are just, like, visually, like, if someone was like, hey, send me stills of this movie, this is one that I'd include, with color grading and everything, obviously. Like, I really like this shot. But, the thing that's going to make us, as an audience member, connect with a moving image, is people, and is being invested in them. So, this shot here, this is going to be effectively our master shot. We're going to come back to the shot of him walking up so many times throughout the course of this. So, let's start on that. Let's start with his movement. There we go. He's kind of shuffling to the side, which is where we're cutting from the last one. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. The difference is, instead of just putting a full cut, I'm going to put, like, I like that he says Violet at the beginning of that. And so, and because I don't see his face in this shot, we're going to have that in. So,
Violet.
There we go. Give him a little bit of something there. And that's pretty good. Actually, the speed of his movement actually works pretty well. And it's kind of a 180 break, but because there's not anyone else in the scene, I think we get away with it. Especially because it's a big cut from close up or from wide to close up. Usually that helps hide 180s. All right. We talked about this last time, that we've got a little bit of camera shake in here. I think that, and that's the thing we are gonna fix probably at the end of today. So.
V, are you in there?
And this is also, I talked a little bit about this last time in terms of the job of an editor is not just to assemble the movie, but is also in certain situations to know and to allow space for the other departments to do their job. So here, you know, we're going to watch this, and I'm going to, you know, I'm going to cut about there. I got bored right about here. I got bored about halfway into that clip. But because I know watching this without sound and watching this without music and watching this without all those other elements is going to make a huge difference. I want to make sure that I allow space over the course of this whole little sequence, and especially on moments when we're seeing Boogie, I'll make sure I allow space for us as the audience or for not us the audience, for the other, for our composer and our sound re-recording mixer to really put their craft to work and make this moment rock, because this moment more than anything else relies on them and on Joe here being awesome. Okay, one thing I haven't talked about, because I haven't needed to do it, I still don't need to do it. I'm not trying to do it on any of these shots. We'll get there. One thing I haven't talked about is aspect ratio. In this case, we shot this film in 4K. If I was to go to footage and pull up a scene, I can pull up the same thing. I'm going to footage and pulling it up. You'll notice we got the full rectangle. Going into here, we are. Let's go back to the project. We're editing. We didn't shoot in this, but we are editing in the CinemaScope widescreen look, which in this case, not that I'm going to make use. I don't think I need to do anything with it in this shot, at least in this moment. But it means I've got space, top and bottom, a little bit to adjust the framing if I need to, which is really, really helpful. But yeah, I'm really happy with how that looks. So he starts walking. Let's see. I think we're going to connect him here. We're going to go with this shot next, which is him walking up. Oh, let's see where we left off here. This isn't hugely essential, but I try to keep this correct. That's towards us, away from us, towards us. Okay. So he just stepped forward on his right foot. So now when I match here, I want him to finish that step and then go left. So there's the right foot and there's the left. So I think that's where we'll start with. There's let's back up a little further. There's the right foot. Yeah, so right about there. And you can see the camera shake even more in this shot. And that's a thing, and I will stress this in every editing stream that I do. All right, how much of this do I want to use? Actually, I think I want to add a little more to this real quick. I want to take this shot. I'm not going to go there immediately. I'm going to go there kind of next. But I'm going to go to this shot next because it seems further away and gives us kind of the illusion of a longer hallway. But a thing I will say, and a thing I will stress in every single one of these streams, is that the mistakes that I'm going to be removing, whether that's camera shake a little bit, or catching the boom in shot, or actors flubbing lines, or me blowing the focus as a cinematographer, all of these things that are qualified as mistakes are completely normal to be removed in post. This is 100% a thing that gets taken out of every single film. There's mistakes, and they exist. Here's the thing: if you've ever seen an outtakes reel, realize those are the funny ones. Those are the mistakes that were fun and that show the cast and crew having a good time and are part of the narrative of the filmmaking process of this film that they want to put out. But those are the mistakes that fit the criteria. There are mistakes that don't. There's always issues. There's always things that go wrong. That's why there's a goof section on IMDb. But in this case, there's mistakes in this, and my job is to remove them and to not let you even know that they're there, which I'm completely failing at by live streaming the process, but not the point. All right, so here we go. There we go. I like that. That feels like a good way to do it. Especially my thoughts on this are that the shots are going to get shorter as I get closer to the actual door, so it makes sense to start with a little bit of a longer one. Also, I do kind of like that there's a bit of a a bit of a shakiness to that footage. Not the jitter. I'm going to remove that, but the kind of the side to side movement. That actually. Okay, now I gotta go back to his face for a second because I can't cut from this to this. Go back to his face real quick, which is a good. Again, I said I was gonna be cutting back and forth. That's kind of my master.
V, are you in there?
I'm gonna give him a little bit further here. We're gonna start the shot here.
V, are you in there?
About the same, right about there, and I'm intentionally ending on the same step that I ended on before, so that now I should be able to cut to this pretty easily without too much of an issue. Yeah, looks pretty good. save. It's Premiere. We're gonna save over and over and over and over and over again. All right, let's see what other shots have we got. We've got more of the walk up here, which we can use. I don't know if I want to use too much more of this shot. I kind of like. Actually, I do kind of like that little kind of back and forth swish we got going on there. So kind of this kind of figure eight movement going on. And again, all right, first of all, let's speed this up. This is shot in slow motion. Let's speed it up to 200%. Gives a little more of a chaotic feel to it. I think that'll work. I'm going to have to fight with Premiere to apply effects to this, but let's see. Go something like, yeah, I'm gonna start kind of right there. Let's put a cut, probably the last I'm going to use of that. Let's come over here. Though I got to keep using his face. Where did we leave off here? We left off right foot, left foot, right foot again. So same deal.
V.
There's our right foot. We're going to cut
V.
Cut it right about there. Then I'm going to cut this short. I'm not going to use the whole thing. Put a cut there. Going to use this a couple more times. No, hang on, I did the wrong thing. I need the end of this, not the beginning. So let's go ahead and pull this back a bit. Let's cut out the beginning of it. There we go. Want that much. That's what I'm looking for. I was like, this clip seems very short. It's not what I'm after. And the same way we did with the fire, I might apply an effect in once I'm in color grading. So very, very far down the line from where we're at right now, but I might apply an effect on the lighting here, and this is what it would basically be. I think what I would probably use is an overlay of water, because I'd get a good shot of water sort of flowing with some light, flowing through some light. Maybe even an underwater shot, maybe a shot underwater looking up at the sky, and I'd get that and I'd apply that as an overlay here to sort of give us a little bit of movement, given that I've got the light moving here. Okay, so let's see what other clips we've got. We've got a couple of walk-up moments, which I'm going to cut to in a second. We're going to decide on that. This is getting close. This is getting there. Okay, so we haven't quite gotten to the board itself yet. Right now we're just still seeing the outline. So I'm going to use this shot to end this little sequence here. I'd love him to be able to clear frame without seeing the thermostat there, but I think I'm stuck with this. So when does focus sort of drop? Actually, I'm kind of okay with this. Let's stop it there. And let this be a real. I'm gonna cut this a little bit quicker because it looks like he was starting from standing. It's always an interesting goal or an interesting challenge to like get the movement right, to find a like, you can have a character who is walking like the whole time, not stopping, but if you, depending on where you start in their step progression, it can look like they're standing still. So that's actually pretty good. Coming up on it. Actually, hang on, let me. Yeah, actually, I like that. I like it. Oop, hang on. Redo that. I actually like that a lot right there. I'll cut a little bit before we get to that point. All right, cool. So now we've gotten us. Let's pull this up here. Now we've gotten to the. Getting closer. Now we're gonna get to. Now we're actually gonna get to the board itself.
V.
We got two options for that moment. Let's work on those.
V, are you in there?
I want to be close. I want to be starting maybe about here. Coming up, coming up, coming up.
V.
Okay, that's fine. This one gives me the shadow on the wall. And this is going to be kind of a small kill my darlings moment because I know what shot I'm using. It's not this one. Maybe the ending of it. Actually, that ending is phenomenal. That little bit of camera movement there. That feels excellent. And I know exactly what clip I'm going to cut to from there. So let's go ahead and use. And this is another thing. The thing with editing is watch everything. Watch it more than once because you will find. You're like, oh, well, this clip doesn't work because I don't want that shadow. But then you'll watch it and be like, oh, wait, hang on. The ending of that has a moment that's just going to tie this whole thing together. I cannot tell you the number of times I have gone back. Actually, I did it in the scene just before this. If I go back to this firelight scene, which I'm calling it firelight because I shot it and lit it with fire. But if I go back to this scene, yeah, this shot right here.
He's your favorite, right?
Was. I don't really like the turtles anymore.
That shot right there was not one that I was gonna originally use. It wasn't in my first cut, and then I went back and rewatched it, and this transition here was a little bit.
Donatella. Yeah, he's your favorite, right?
The way I'd originally edited it was way too choppy, so I went back and found this moment in a clip in a take that I hadn't like. There wasn't much else in that take that I really liked in terms of the really getting the connection between the characters, and there were some other takes that were stronger. I think this was take one. But going back to that, I was like, oh no, wait, there's moments I can certainly use here. All right, so I don't. But the rest of this clip of him walking up, I like better in the other one, mostly. And here's the reason. Visually, I like this shot better. I think if this was gonna be the one I was gonna go with, visually, what I would do is I would take this clip, I would zoom it in a bit. I'd go to about 65%. I'd push it over, kind of like that. Bring it down a little bit like that, and I'd make it this kind of weird 3-shot with him, the board, and his shadow, which I think is a really cool symbolic shot. I think there's something that could really be, could really come out of that. To the point that I'm going to take this, put it in my other timeline, and I'm going to turn it green. Label green. So that I can know to come back, and actually let me change that to a color that I can really see. Let's go mango. I love the mango one. So I can come back and say, oh, that's a shot worth. If I'm looking for shots for a trailer, if I'm looking for shots for, for stills for promoting the film, that's like that frame color graded would be really, really good and fits really well with the symbolism of the movie. In this case, and again, this is that trap it's easy to fall into as a cinematographer or a filmmaker or even as an editor is don't make decisions or try to avoid making any decision in post or on set even. Heck, in pre-production, honestly, I'm a huge proponent of extensive pre-production and of knowing the answers thematically to every question about your film before you start. Not necessarily all the technical ones, not necessarily, you don't have to show up on set and have nothing go wrong. Excuse me. But knowing thematically what your film is about from day one on set, I think is the best possible asset a director, and additionally like a crew, a cinematographer, the cast, your production designers, all of your your creative crew, giving them the thing, knowing what the movie's about thematically from the start is essential. Because here's the thing: if this scene, and this is editing. This is me vocalizing the process that I go through when I edit shots and when I decide what takes to go for. And obviously, it happens quicker in my head, but I'm talking about it. So, going through a scene like this, like if the point of this, if this was the opening scene of the movie. if this was the opening scene of the movie and the mess and the and what I wanted you to take away from it was not to connect with Boogie, but was to like get hyped, guys. This is, this movie's gonna be cool. I want you to see all the cool stuff that's gonna happen in this movie. If that was the message, if this was the opening scene, this guy, you didn't know who this guy was, it didn't matter, he was just the opening person who gets killed so that we can establish this is a horror movie, or establish the tone, then 100% I'd be going with cooler shots. Not cooler shots, but like I'd be going with shots that my primary directive would be pick stuff that's cool versus picking stuff that is really character focused. I can give you an example, actually. If I go to my footage here and go to our first scene of the film, I know I'm kind of spoiling. Actually, hang on a second. Let me go to my sequences. Let's where are we going? Nicolas Cage. There we go. If I go to my first scene here, it is filled with nothing but, it's almost all beauty shots. It is shots that are designed to look good. It's shots that are designed to be dramatic, and we're still, there's a little bit of music in there. We're still, connecting with this person to a degree. It's most of it, a lot of it's playing on her face, but a lot more of the shots look like that, look like this, and are designed for visual impact, as opposed to a scene like this, which again, visual impact is important, but this, I want you in his head. I want you connecting with him, and so for that very long and complicated reason, I'm going with the shot that doesn't have the shadow in there, because I don't want you looking at that shadow and going, oh, that's kind of cool. I want you looking at this. I don't want you thinking that. I don't want you thinking about the cinematography really any more in this shot than you were in the previous shot. We established back here, okay, light comes on, fire turns blue, okay. This is what this movie's going to look like. I'm going to have to do some adjusting on the position here, because I can take that up and have that turn into something better. Work on that in a second. But yeah, I don't want that. I want, once I've established visually what the cinematography of this scene is going to look like, I want to stick with that so that stick with it for the most part. There are just a couple distinctive moments where I'm gonna break that, but in moments that fit with the breaks or with the beats of the scene. So. That if anyone's watching and kind of tuned in, like, what's this stream really about? That whole spiel is what this stream is about. This stream is about all the tiny little decisions and all the massive reasons to make them. Like I said, we're processing post. We're putting it through our heads. All right. So, what foot did we leave off on? There's your left foot. He was stepping forward with his right. That could actually work.
V.
All right, we'll go with that. Now we're starting to really. I mean, if we've been watching, if you're watching this film and you're coming into it, you know what this is. You'll recognize the surfboard. But stepping in, I'm gonna obviously in color correction. I'm gonna make this whole thing a little bluer.
V.
All right, we can be closer actually now I think about it, because we're ending. Yeah, we were here. Yeah, there we go. That little shift to the side and come in, and that him coming in there is actually what I want. So let's take this out, bring it back.
V.
Yeah, now we're allowed to get a little quicker. Is this the rest of the clip? Because that'd be kind of cool. Just. All right, we're gonna cut there. We're gonna let that run a little bit longer. Delete that. And then where's my beauty shot of the boards? There's our two shot, which is there's a theory in filmmaking, and this is I'm not sure I mean, it's everything else, I don't 100% agree with it, but I think it's a good important storytelling device to be aware of. I have no idea if you can hear the cat using the litter box, but there's an argument. This is a thing that kind of guides me a little bit, that every shot can only show one thing. So if you're showing a shot of, it's either a shot of a person or a shot of a space, or in the shot of in a two shot, it's a shot about it's the shot. What you're capturing is the relationship. So here we've been very, we've got Boogie, and then we've got the board, and we've got the board, and we've got Boogie, and we're going back and forth between the two of them, sort of sharing the same frame a little bit, but not really, certainly not in equal prominence. We're very much on Boogie's side, and the board is our foreign, what is this? So when we get to here, this is kind of the peak of it's the end of this beat. It is the climax of this little moment, and then the expectation is we're going to change the visual storytelling, and we're going to. So, but we're going to start with this. There's that shot that I liked where they break apart, which will be great. That's going to flow into one of these. I'm not sure which one. I think those are the same clip, just with a break in between it. But now we're going to go to the final shot that we haven't looked at yet, and this is the push in on the board. So the board is now getting its own beauty shot and its own shot where we treat it like a full character, which I try to do on set anyway. And we're going to add in some sound effects. You can't hear it right now, but we're going to add in some sound effects of the doors sort of starting to rattle a little bit, which does a couple things. One, it adds to the creepy soundtrack. It gives my re-recorded mixer a fun element to play with. It gives our composer a nice thing to crescendo on as these get more chaotic. It also, and this is a thing I did not realize until working on this in post, is that it gives kind of the impression of waves. And so the surfboard on this blue sort of ripply thing is fitting. There's that. This one's a little bit bright, kind of overexposed this a bit, and I can fix that in post there we go. That's actually my push in though, so that's actually the clip I'm gonna have to go with because this is I don't think I pushed in here. I pushed in on the movement, but I'll come back to that. So let's use this one. There we go. That's sort of a little bit of a weird kind of swoop to it, which I really like. And this is what to shoot this. What I did was I filmed. This is obviously because there's no sound here. Like I filmed in slow motion, and I think I can get some properties and find out what I actually shot this in. That's gonna tell me it's frame rate was it's 20. It's gonna tell me the frame rate was 23 frames per second, 23.7 or 97, because my camera converted it. But shooting this at a high frame rate. Let's play. And then doing let me push that in. Yeah, right up there. Pushing that in that way. Like that's what I did was basically set that for slow-mo and then did a very fast push in. And so what you end up with is this kind of like smooth, thing that doesn't feel super slow. It feels like it's moving in. Feels like it's careening in a little bit. I want to pull a little bit less off. Again, talking about like making it feel like we're cutting on movement, making it feel like we're catching it mid move rather than. I think with this shot I can even. So again, because we shot this at 4K, but this timeline is effectively a 2K timeline. I've got my scale for most of these shots is down at 54%, and that's where it is to get everything in there, which means I can let's go to 70. I can push in on most of these. I can reframe a bit if I need to, and I can make this. I can turn these shots. Let's go a little closer than I want to. Let's go 67. I can kind of adjust how I want these shots seen, because like the last, let's go ahead and pull this back because it's the same thing. Yeah, the last thing, this shot felt like it was a little more even on Boogie and the board, and I'm thinking for this, like now I want this moment to be about the board. Let's go ahead and adjust the positions. So let's go ahead and save. Again, neck crack showing up on camera. Delicious. All right, so we'll push in like that, and let's go ahead and I'm going to adjust some positional stuff. So I'm going to keyframe my position. I'm actually decently happy with kind of where it's starting. when it gets to there, when it gets to that, I want it to be a little higher up. Have the board a little more of a thing, and then we land center, which is good. Okay, cool. So just crank it up a little bit. I'm gonna take these and going to temporal interpolation. Actually, I'm gonna do this way. Let's do, so I want this one. Actually, that one I don't want to change. This one I want to ease. I want to ease into. And for everyone wondering what easing in does keyframe wise, easing in is, there we go. Whoosh. It's actually a little bit. Let me go a little higher with that, so that it will kind of swoop in like that. Good. So when you do keyframes, you're basically, you're telling it, okay, by the time you hit this position, I want you to be here. In terms of, by the time you hit this mark on the timeline, I want the position to be, to be here. You can then adjust the degree to which, like the way it handles approaching each keyframe. If I leave it as the diamonds, it's just going to be like move. It stops and then does the next thing. It doesn't necessarily stop, but it's jerky. Ease in or ease out, depending on if I want the movement to slow down coming into the keyframe or slow down going out of it. That's what that does. So ease in tells it, okay, start with this movement, and then as you get closer to the keyframe, kind of smooth it out and slow it down, so that it doesn't feel jerky. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to keyframe my scale. Camera kind of stops right about there, so that's where we're going to stop. I'm going to bring this up to 65. Bring this up to 70. I want to get closer. There we go. And again, same thing. I'm going to ease into that keyframe, so that now I just turned a slight push in into a much bigger push in because I can zoom in a little bit. The only thing that changes is I'm going to come back to this keyframe. I'm going to bring it down a little bit, and I'm going to bring it over just a tiniest bit, so that we. Oh, see, now we're landing a little bit lower than I want to. So I've got another keyframe to bring us back up. I'm going to push that right to my ending. So now, there we go. That looks pretty good. This one should also be easing in. Ease in. There we go. Excellent. Yeah, give it that nice little kind of fun, haunting kind of energy to it, especially because it's saying we're going to be changing up the visual style in a second. So that's, I think it's an important part. All right, now we're going to come to this shot, which is the connection moment that I really liked. I really just want, I want this. Don't need this one. We're not walking up. This is just the camera move. Actually, I think it's boogie moving. I don't think it's the camera. I think the camera's tweaking a little bit, but camera turns around a little bit and kind of brings that into a two shot. And I'm going to do the same thing here where I zoom in a bit. I'm going to take this to 70 again. 70 seems to be kind of where I'm living right now. I'm going to push this over until I get it right to the edge of frame. I'm also going to bring this down a little bit so it's a little more centered. There we go. And we're almost letting the same, like here, we're starting with blue over Boogie's shoulder and blue over the board's shoulder. And then by the end, we're kind of removing that. I'm actually going to push this in. I can't push it over anymore. I want to push this in a tiny bit more. I want to go to 72. Because I think 72 will give me just that extra little bit that I want. There we go. Yeah. Coming up on the board. Boogie and the board having their moment. Excellent. This is looking good. All right. Now we're going to come into our... let's see. I think I know what shot. I think I have to use this shot because this is the shot where the board falls, which it is. Okay, so we can take these out. I'm not going to use those. This is my ending, which I'll have to cut in a second. That's an alarm. Worry about that later. Last shot to really play with here. Let's go ahead and save. Do a little bit of a stretch. There we go. Okay, and I cut before I got to that. All right, so we're going to put this here. I'm going to trim out me saying what I was saying because that doesn't matter. Can I extend this? I can. Excellent. So that'll cover that gap. Not that our re-recording mixer isn't going to take this all out anyway, but you know. Oh, there's a little bit of a cut there. Let's take that out. Let's cover that gap. There we go. I'm still saying there we go. All right, I'm gonna live with it. But yeah, there's your moment, and I'm gonna push this again a little bit, and not as much. I'm gonna go to 60. I'm gonna bring it over just a bit, just try to get that even balance between the two of them, because they are very much our film's hero and villain. And the thing is, even though we are, we're not showing Boogie in every shot, all of the camera work and all of the decisions are motivated by his movement. He's coming closer, and that's why, like, he's coming closer, that's why we're coming closer. He's, you know, this is kind of the moment, you know, where he would get close enough to really take in that it's the cage board, so it's the moment that we take in that it's the cage board. He kind of squares up with it. We see that in a couple ways, but also, like, the movement here, we're not with the board waiting for him to enter frame. We're with him waiting for the board to enter frame because it's his story. Comes up on the board. There we go. Now we got this shot. We got a little bit of shaking noise in there. And this shot I am going to zoom in a good bit because I want this to feel like we're closer. So let's go into 80%. Kind of get us, again, keeping the cage board centered, but on that side. Let me check my guides here and see how I'm doing centered wise. Oh, perfect. The face is centered, but you still have more blue space over here than you do over here, so that it still feels like Cage is on that side of the shot. Yeah, that looks good. That's working. I wish I had an insert of Boogie here. Do I have one that I can use? So this is where we start checking back. Not there. We'll get to that in a second. No, that's too chaotic and too much. So we're gonna come back to my other thing where I was putting shots that I wasn't using. See, here we go. Here's a take I didn't use. That's a shot we're not using for a couple reasons. And this is a wide shot that I could cut back to. Actually, it wouldn't be a bad idea to have that as an option. So once we get to the end of this, that's actually not a bad option to have. So let me take that, cut that out of here. And this is the kind of thing I'm going to put with the shot of the blue fire, which is over here. I'm going to take that, bring that down here as well. Paste this one in, close that gap. I'm going to re-enable the fire because it's now out of the way. And I'm going to have these here as shots that, like, once I've made the scene and I'm going to re-watch it, I'm going to look and see if there's anything I missed or see if it flows as well as I think it did. And this is the thing that I suggest for every editor to do is edit your scene and then re-watch it at a very different time of day. If you edit at night, watch it again in the daytime. If you edit it in the morning, watch it in the evening. Because your brain's going to work differently. Your brain's going to notice things differently at different times of the day. Just atmospherically, you perceive the world differently. And so things will stick out to you that you didn't notice. It's also why you should take breaks and come back to things if you're struggling with them, because your brain will notice the difference. So I'm putting these clips over here. I try to have stuff ready for if I need to, when I come back and rewatch and go, oh man, this moment doesn't work as well as I thought it did. I've got some options of things to come back to. I'm like, yeah, that would fit in really well with what I've got so far. Excuse the yawning. All right. I'm actually gonna let this shot pull back a little bit. Scale and position. Getting keyframed here. is going to be, in this case, I want them both to ease out because I want this to be slow. And then by the time, yeah, kind of right about there, I'm going to let this be, I'm going to set this back to 50, let's set to 50, let's set to 60. Zoom out 20% is, yeah, that's going to be plenty. Put that there. And then here, I want to adjust my positioning. So the cage board is like that. And then same thing here when I get to the end of the clip. Adjust my positioning a little bit. There we go. And put this there. So now, got a little bit of that chaos happening. All right, I want to change. I want to kind of guide my position a little bit. I want to make sure I keep that headroom there. Good, 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 good. We're pulling out. We're pulling out, but it's very subtle. It's almost a dolly zoom. That actually works really well. And then the board falls. And boom, down. And this is a shot I also kind of want to put a zoom out on. Just because it's on like a, I don't know. This one's actually less noticeable than I thought it was going to be, so I'm actually going to leave it as is. Let the board fall there. We'll have some sound effects, maybe put in some, sound of thunder crashing or something. We've done that before in the film and had, like, when the board falls to the ground, had some thunder on it. So that could work well for this. And then, those are our backup shots. Here's the next section. The one thing I wish I had was a reaction shot of Boogie somewhere in here to this, and I think I might find one in the next little bit. We're gonna see. We'll see if I've got something that can work for that. And I don't think it's hugely important. I think we can cover it with, with sound effects and everything, it'll play really well. But I really would love an insert of Boogie's face there. I don't know if we have one. But the way to answer that is to go back to the workroom. Back to my workroom and find my clips of Boogie walking up. And start looking at everything. Because like this was the handheld one we did as a master. Now. Again, dropping the board.
And good.
Yes, there's that walk up. It's just when he walks out of frame. So we've already used one of those and the other one doesn't work for this. Alright, we'll keep looking. Back into here. I'd love to see, again, this is his story. I'd love to see his reaction to the shaking of the doors. But we'll get there. All right, next moment. This is going to have some fun kind of tweaking to it. And I know for this most of this part, you haven't been hearing necessarily what's coming out of the, like, there's been, hasn't been dialogue, there hasn't been sound effects. So, like, you hear.
V, are you in there?
You hear a couple of lines, but you're not hearing much. Here's where we start making noise, so just hopefully it isn't too loud.
I'm a vampire. 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 Vampire.
Has anyone? If you haven't seen Vampire's Kiss, you've got to check it out. If you're a fan of Crazy Cage and haven't seen Vampire's Kiss is one of those ones that kind of really. When did that come out? Vampire's Kiss was. I'm trying to remember Vampire's Kiss is pre or post kind of his crazy action movies in the 90s, but let me just see. Vampire's Kiss is 88. Man, we should have seen this coming. Vampire's Kiss is 1988. Okay, yeah, that's entirely on us that we didn't see this coming. That's Cage is playing a businessman who thinks he becomes a vampire. Maybe does, maybe doesn't. But like, Cage insisted on doing a Transylvanian accent, but like a real one that he doesn't do a great job of. So it's not like, and like Cage could have a lot of fun leaning into the whole like, which I think he kind of does in Renfield, leaning into the whole like I am Count Dracula. But he doesn't do that. He does an accent that's trying to sound more normal, which is, it's a bizarre thing. But yeah, he thinks he gets turned into a vampire. If you've seen him do it, like doing the crazy eyes, like that big fit thing with the mouth open, that's from Vampire's Kiss. There's a lot of, like, if you watch Vampire's Kiss, being a fan of Cage and a fan especially of like Cage as a meme, a lot of that movie you're gonna go, oh, that's what that's from. And in this case, there's a shot of him when he thinks he's become a vampire. He does what everyone does when they become a vampire, runs down the street in New York screaming, "I'm a vampire," over and over and over again. And so that's what that's what's happened to our friend Shag Monkey here. That's another still I would very happily put in a press kit.
Vampire. I'm a 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 vampire.
I love how quickly he kind of forces the vampire back into the linen closet. All right, so first thing.
I'm a vampire. I'm a vampire. I'm a vampire. I'm a vampire.
All right.
Vampire.
So here's what I'm gonna do. See if I can make this work.
I'm a vampire. I'm a vampire.
Before the hands get in there, before there's too much movement. Door opens. I'm gonna unlink my audio from my video here because this is camera sound. I'm not gonna be using it. And I want to put a cut here.
I'm a vampire.
You know what, take it back. I was gonna try to use this early on. I don't want this, like, this shocked look needs to come from the vampire bit. All right.
I'm a vampire. I'm a vampire.
All right, so here we go. Let's start with him opening the doors.
I'm a vampire. I'm a vampire. I'm a vampire.
Yeah, that's better. All right, so we're gonna take this clip and we're gonna put this back here. Not that far back. We're just gonna put it right here. So the board falls, and I just want to go straight to the doors opening. And obviously this is all going to get color graded to be much more blue so that it has that kind of haunting look to it. Actually, now I'm realizing we can.
I'm a vampire.
This should be, again, taking a moment where, like, in the original version, I think in the original on-set moment, Boogie opens the doors himself. In this case,
I'm a vampire.
yeah, that's a better performance. We're going to go with that instead. In this one, I'm going to have our vampire, make it look like the doors either open on their own or our vampire open them. Let's take this and put this over here in this other timeline. Board falls.
I'm a vampire.
Perfect. So we got that. Most of this that's going to run is going to be this shot. So.
I'm a vampire. I'm a vampire. I'm a vampire.
Let's see.
I'm a vampire.
Let's go ahead and just. Want to have as much of this audio kind of run into itself as I can. So let's pull this back for now. We're probably going to end up duplicating some of this.
I'm a vampire.
Hang on. We're going to use other takes.
Vampire. I'm a vampire.
Yeah, the second I'm a vampire is better, so we're going to cut that out. Come back to this. Going to use that one a little more, but let's cut to Boogie here.
I'm a vampire. I'm a vampire.
Again, break the scene up into moments. First moment, door opens, I'm a vampire. Second moment, he's grabbing him and he pushes him away. So,
I'm a vampire. I'm a vampire.
so come back before the hands get in. We're going to use that clip. Nope, not that one. This one to start. Oh, they should absolutely watch Vampire's Kiss. They'd love it. There we go. That's the two things this stream is about. Me over-explaining tiny decisions and inspiring children to run around screaming Nicolas Cage quotes. Alright. And this door's already open, so we don't need that. We just need, we need the look on his face. Beautiful. Let's grab some audio from a take we're not using.
I'm a vampire. 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 I'm a vampire.
All right, I think
I'm a vampire. I'm a vampire.
the audio. I think the audio on the other take sounds like he's trying to fight it. It sounds like it's happening to him, not just him stating he's a vampire. So I'm gonna use the audio from this take for the reaction shots.
I'm a vampire. I'm a vampire. I'm a vampire.
All right, we're gonna do that, and then we're gonna cut to here. Oh yeah, no, we're gonna like. I'm trying to think where that reference is in this movie. Like this movie. I'm trying to remember where it is. This movie has the put the bunny back in the box jar. I'm trying to remember where we put it.
I'm a vampire. I'm a vampire. I'm a vampire. I'm a
All right, so we're gonna cut.
vampire.
Put this back like that for now. See if this works.
I'm a vampire.
You know, that's what I need to do. I need to extend this a little more. And let us kind of cut in on half of a word.
I'm a vampire.
There we go.
Vampire. I'm a vampire.
That sounds good. And then we can put.
Vampire. I'm a vampire. I'm a vampire. I'm a vampire. I'm a vampire.
There we go. Now he's coming up and getting kind of in our face. So that gives us the reason to cut to him grabbing Boogie here.
I'm a vampire. I'm a vampire. Vampire. I'm a vampire. I'm a vampire. I'm a vampire.
Well, he's got the hands on him. We're going to keep that. We're going to put the cut there. So we can... Nope. Again. Premiere, stop auto-selecting when I don't want you to. We're going to take this clip. And we're going to put it in here. Paste.
Vampire.
We're going to get the grab here as the hands come in. Right about there. Bring this back. And this is going to be one of those shots where I'm going to be messing with the perspective or with the positioning on it.
Vampire. I'm a vampire.
Let's see. So we're going to keep going here. Oh, people coming in. Hey. Once this finishes saving, we'll keep working on...
I'm a vampire.
There we go. Now that we've gotten him grabbing our main character, now we need to come up with ways to get him back into the closet, which is a interesting sentence about putting the Nicolas Cage vampire back in the closet. Just sometimes you have to do what you have to do. That makes this job interesting and weird. All right, let's see.
I'm a
I think.
vampire.
All right, that's the end. So that's how we're gonna end this. I'm not sure I'm gonna use. Yeah, I'm not sure I'm gonna use this clip right now. So this one's gonna get moved over to my other timeline. Boom. Let's see. Yeah, it's gonna kill me. We're trying to remember where we put the bunny back in the box line. All right. And we haven't really been using this angle as much lately. So let's go ahead and we can use this to bring us back in.
I'm a vampire.
Not that bit. That's an ending. So we'll come in with this grab.
Vampire.
Yeah, that grab looks excellent.
I'm a vampire.
Let's put that cut there. let's see if I can get this. See where I want to put this stuff. I don't know if I need that yet. We know I need this. Nope, we're not using that yet. We are not there. We are here. So he's coming out. So we'll take that there. Well, actually, hang on a sec. We're going to put this before that. Now I think about it. Let's move this in. Let's put this back like that. There we go.
I'm a vampire.
There we go. Trying to drag him into the closet. Not sure what would have happened if it hadn't.
I'm a vampire. I'm a vampire.
Let's see. And then we'll put Boogie back in here. We'll extend the audio so we've got it.
I'm a vampire.
Just like that. See Boogie fight him off.
I'm a vampire.
Let's see. Now we can come to this shot. Here.
Vampire. I'm a vampire.
That pushes him back in. We'll grab this shot where Boogie throws him, gets the doors closed, and that'll be our way to cut out of it.
I'm a vampire. I'm a vampire.
And as the doors close, kind of right about there, we'll get it. We would cut right here. Whether this is the shot I'm going to use, I'm not sure. Let's find out. Okay, that one's actually pretty good. Actually, that's the better take to use here. So, this one's got, I think this is the better ending. This is the better take to use, getting us to the next point. So, got that gasp, which is going to be our cut to the next thing we want to look at. And we're going to come here. Pushes him back in. Again, right before the doors close, just like that. So that's where I want to cut this shot. I want to pull this back here, and then I'm going to use this audio to extend it to cover the gap, which I might have to tweak the I'm a Vampires a little bit, but I think it's in pretty good shape. Let's see.
Vampire. I'm a vampire. I'm a vampire.
Good. And then I'm betting our re-recording mixer will take that audio and still have it quietly in the closet, because it's funny if you do that. You know, you seal them in, the doors are still shaking, and you just keep hearing, I'm a vampire. Honestly, I'd love to have him see if we can put a butt in there. Just like, gets thrown in the closet and you just hear, but I'm a vampire. I think that'd be funny. And we're back out here. Excellent. Door shaking. He's looking, and then he sees something else, which is our cut to... Let's see, let me pick my ending here, because another loud scream. Yeah, that's the better ending. Okay, so, and also, man, he's got a phenomenal horror face, doesn't he? That's just, yeah, it's the other take. So we're going to take this and put this over here in my other timeline. Going to take this one out because we're not going to use it. This is all the audio that we're not using from the other shot, and this is the what he looks over and sees. So that's going to come up here like that. Going to come over here. And we're just going to work on our last few moments here. So, real quick cut into seeing Violet here. She's hitting stuff, and then we cut here. And then in the middle of that camera move is where I'm going to cut the video, and that's going to be our wake up beat. This needs to be moving as well, so let's go ahead and cut that out. And I got to tweak a little bit of this. All right. One thing I need to change is like that's that. So we get to there. I'm gonna bring in my last little moment here, which is this shot, which I've already sort of picked out as the best wake up. See, this is already. And that's our wake up moment. So get that movement as well in here. Bring this in. Gonna bring this back so that I just get the scream. Actually, I can probably layer that in before. So let's do this. And ideally, so here we go. So we'll let this play. That's how you wake somebody up in a movie. I know it's loud as hell, but that's maybe even a little bit earlier. Maybe a tiny bit more there, a little more space. Yeah. Oh, that looks so good. That's what I wanted. Ah, that's phenomenal. And again, talking about deciding to do things in pre-production, knowing that I was going to shoot the end of the dream and the beginning of the wake up the same way means that I can get this transition to work. Because so often you have characters, you have them just wake up in a. Actually, The Matrix does this really well. They don't involve the camera work as much, but The Matrix does a really good job of having character movement wake up match when you wake up from a dream or from a nightmare. This is a similar kind of thing that I think helps make it visceral, and so you never really know when the dream's gonna end, and that's just.
Dude, relax.
Yeah, that looks. I'm really, really happy with how that's coming out. The only thing I need to do, there's a couple things I need to tweak before I do. I'm not doing too much cleanup. We're about to wrap this up because next time I'm gonna work on. Actually, I'm probably gonna work on the rest of this scene here, for the most part on my own, just because it's not super as interesting. It's a much more conventional scene. But I will say one thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go from. I'm not sure how much of this shot I'm gonna use. I'm gonna go from this shot, which is a handheld shot of him on the couch, to this shot when he gets up and walks over, because that is a direct mirror to how we open the nightmare. We start with him, handheld shot on the couch, waking up, and then we go to the wide, looking down the hallway. So we're going to use that to match, partially to show that, like, hey, the thing that was scary is no longer scary, but also to, again, reinforce a little bit of what's real, what's not, if it's got the same visual language. The one last thing I gotta change here, and this is a small detail, you'll notice this is called. I'm gonna do a little bit of 180 control. So you will notice leading up to here, we are on. If I'm the surfboard, or if I'm the surfboard, we're on the left. If I'm Boogie, we're on the right. We kind of been over Boogie's shoulder and on his right side. And then the board drops there, and then the board drops again. We're still on the right side, and then now we're on the left side. And I don't really want that. I think that's a little bit less helpful, and it's a little bit of a continuity break. So I'm gonna switch this, and it only matters for this shot, and it only matters for for the first few. So there, doesn't matter for that shot. That's still fine.
I'm a vampire.
Same thing here. I'm gonna go ahead and switch this one. There we go.
I'm a vampire. I'm a vampire. I'm a vampire. I'm a vampire.
And then there, I'm gonna let that break be there, partially because this is less about not having it, because I need to have it to make the rest of the continuity work. Because he's got to look that way, Violet's got to be looking off camera to that side, and then the wake up's got to match. So I can't do it the whole way through, but what I can do is if I have to have that switch where we're looking one way then looking the other, I want it to happen on that moment, because that moment is another beat change. And if you're going to change something visually, try to change it on a beat so that the feeling of a change in visual language matches the feeling of a change in storytelling. And so that is the way that I think that's a good way to hide that there. So boom. Yeah, and that's how this scene plays out. Still got to do some, clean up some camera shake, clean up a little bit of the jitteriness. But I'm not too worried about it. So, yeah, that's the nightmare scene, ladies and gentlemen. We just took it. It is, let's see, how long is it right now? This nightmare lasts. Okay, lasts about 2.5 minutes, which is really good. It's a good length for it. Thank you, Premiere, for auto saving. It's been a while since I did that, and I'd hate to lose the work. But yeah, so 2.5 minutes for a dream sequence. Again, this is the first pass. This is the assembly cut. So once I kind of rewatch it, and then once I show it to my director, and I show it to, we start kind of, once we put it in the context of the rest of the movie, we might watch and go, this is too long. We might watch and go, let's lean into this and have this go a little bit longer. We've got options. We got a couple extra shots that we can play with if we need to. But for the most part, yeah, we're this scene is in a spot that I'm really happy with. So yeah, we're gonna call the stream on today with that, and thank you all for being part of this. Let me go back to just come up with just me here. I know I keep glancing over to the side. I'm just checking to make sure the monitor's coming through. But yeah, thank you so much for joining. Thank you for being part of the stream, and hopefully I have inspired some creative thoughts, some kind of something. Maybe if I've just got your kids running around the house yelling I'm a vampire, I'm happy to have accomplished that. This stream will be up on Twitch for the next week, and then up on YouTube after that, where you can always rewatch it. You can always leave comments. Again, I'm serious. If you watch this and you're a creator and you want to share your work, I absolutely want you to share. I want to be part of it. I want to get a chance to see what cool things everyone else is creating, because that's the way I learn. So that's hugely important to me, and please, by all means, share. Additionally, the little plug at the end here is that if you want to support me and you want to support the work that I do, you can, if you go to erichackler.com, you can see my work there, where you can check out all of my work, and if there's a contact thing if you want to hire me to work on a film that you're putting together. Additionally, if you like photography, I know I haven't done a photography stream on Twitch yet, but that's going to be the next thing. If you like photography, you can go to erichackler.com/photography. You can look at my work there if you want to consider buying a print. That is another wonderful way to support me and help let me keep doing the work that I do and sharing my process with you, because it really is a genuine joy to get to do this. So, with all of that said, thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of this. We're not going to I don't think I'm going to be doing any more streams this week, because I am going to be up in New Jersey for the New Jersey premiere of the short film that I made called The Devil's Playground, which is a really exciting thing to get to share. Actually, real quick before, I'm gonna keep talking to you guys, but I want to pull up the trailer for that so that I can, nope, wrong thing. There we go. So we can watch that together and kind of as a way to end off today. So that's what we're going to do. But let's see, this is in here, I believe. There it is. Cool. All right, I'll pause that. So yeah, so we're gonna watch that as the last thing for today. But yeah, so I'm not gonna be streaming later this week because I'm gonna be up in New Jersey. But next week we will be back. We will be doing, again, starting 2 streams a week. Well, 3 streams a week. 2 of them are editing process, 1 film, 1 photography. And then I'm gonna, next weekend or end of the week, I'm gonna try something new where I just do kind of a conversational stream and we just talk about the film industry and we answer comments and so on and so forth. So yeah, that'll be the plan, and that should be hopefully the scheme going forward. So with all that said, let's take a quick peek at the trailer for The Devil's Playground.
Brian Mills, it's 1 p.m. Aren't you supposed to be in the field somewhere, taking pictures?
Yes, sir. Halloween edition.
Gets dark out early. Maybe you should get moving.
Call you later.
Uh-huh.
Did he have any emotional issues?
But you want a bad boy.
I don't want a boy at all.
You'll see good and bad and everything if you look for it long enough.
He recorded your conversation.
Can I record this?
Is it true? There were hoof prints in the dirt?
I saw it fly!
Too scared to move.
Terrifying.
Massive!
I can tell when something is haunting a man. I mean, if there's a God, then there's got to be a devil.
I heard hooves on the roof.
Yours. Every time I look in the mirror.
I saw mysterious footprints.
Some people think that if you see something crazy, it'll make you crazy. Why can't you look into my eyes, sonny boy? You don't see him. He sees you.
I didn't look into your eyes before. Let me see your eyes. Let me see them.
I mean, what are you so afraid of?
So that is the trailer for The Devil's Playground, which is another film that I didn't write or direct. I shot it and I edited it and I did the visual effects. It's a phenomenal. Close that window. There we go. It's a phenomenal little short horror film with directed by AJ Ciccatelli, which you saw, and he is a just phenomenal director. He's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderfully insightful person who, when he makes a horror film, it usually has a different taste to a typical horror film you might expect. He's a very heartfelt director, which makes for an interesting movie. So, yeah, Devil's Playground. Trailer's available on YouTube. If you're in the New Jersey area, it's playing at the Jersey Shore Film Festival this coming Friday in Red Bank. And otherwise, it's going to be hitting other festivals around the country. I think it's going to Arizona next, and then eventually we'll make it available and release it probably on YouTube to everybody else. So, yeah. So on that note, thank you. Be safe, be well, and until next time, keep being creative, and we'll do this again. See you soon.